Jake Decker, you played Telltale Batman. Telltale, the Batman series, Realm of Shadows, the first episode was called?
Batman The Telltale Series, Realm of Shadows. I played it. So did Timur.
Yeah, Timur Hussein over in the UK reviewed it, gave it an 8, liked it a lot. But you played it yesterday, right?
I played it yesterday. I think he liked it more than I did. I think I'm a little more burnt out on the Telltale games than he is, though. Mm-hmm. And mine crashed like 6 times while playing it. So,
on PC?
On PC. Other people tried it out. Timur didn't have any issues. Joey tried it out, didn't have any issues. But for some reason, maybe it was just the PC configuration, it crashed 6 times. So that kind of ruined my experience. But, I mean, it's a typical Telltale first episode. It's good. If you like Batman, you're going to like it. Yeah.
I remember you just said you were saying like you're kind of tired of Telltale games, which is where I'm at. And I wanted to bring Scott on because I know you play a lot of these games. But I was never super into those kind of games to begin with. I recognize their like writing quality and their narrative strengths and kind of, the illusion of choice they give you. And I really like The Walking Dead Season 1, The Wolf Among Us. I also finished that. But for Batman, if you're a Batman fan, is there a lot to like here? If you're not just like a Telltale Games fan?
Yeah, I think Batman fans are really going to like it. I'm not super familiar with the comics. I've seen the movies and it tells somewhat of a different story. And one thing that Timur pointed out was that it tells, the story's trying to break Bruce Wayne rather than the Batman. So instead of putting Batman through the ringer, it's more about putting Bruce Wayne through the ringer. And there's a lot of crap happens to him this game, and it'll be really interesting to see where it goes from there. Mm-hmm. And this does set up all that pretty nicely. But I mean, if you want it's not action packed though, at least not yet. There's not a whole lot of Batman beating up thugs. It's still there, but it's not as prevalent as maybe some people hoped.
Well, the QTE for those games is always kind of the action for those games is always kind of QTE heavy, right? And
it is for this too. And one thing that's kind of weird, I don't remember it being like this in The Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us. But one weird thing is that you can straight up just not hit buttons and just play through it. And then if you don't hit enough of them after a while, a guy will just shoot you or something. It'll be the end. But Batman will still beat the snot out of people even if you don't hit anything. So it's not like he's actually messing things up, which is kind of weird.
I came over and saw you just leaning back in your seat, kind of every once in a while when you're prompted, just pressing the E key to shoot your back. Yeah. It didn't look particularly engaging.
So that was my third time playing through that part. So that may have been why I looked pretty uninterested. But
you did look very interested. But yeah, it sounds like it's kind of delivering what we want from a Telltale game, right? That narrative. I don't know, Scott. Have you played all of Telltale's properties by this point?
I don't think I've played all of them because they've been making games for a long time. But I've been keeping up pretty closely since the first season of The Walking Dead, seasons 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us. I didn't ever finish Game of Thrones, but Tales from the Borderlands was one of my favorite games from last year. And yeah, they are not mechanic heavy games. If you are looking for action, you are absolutely in the wrong place. And it sounds like Batman's approach, which I have not had a chance to play yet, unfortunately, but it sounds like the approach they take to action is similar to, but not exactly like their previous games. You're right that in previous games, you actually had to hit buttons or you would fail. If you missed 1 or 2 button presses, you would die or something bad would happen and it would kick you back to the beginning of the section. So it sounds like you can kind of get away with a little bit more here. But Timur actually pointed this out in his review that it wouldn't really fit the character if he was just getting beat up by regular old thugs, right? So it was kind of a weird line for Telltale to walk. It wouldn't make sense for him to just be missing punches and getting worked over by thugs just because you missed a button prompt. So I can kind of see how they were caught in a tricky situation there. But then again, maybe they just should skip over this action stuff altogether. If it's still not really that engaging, if it's still just quick time events and people really aren't that into it, maybe they need to really just recognize where their skills lie, continue to focus and invest more in the storytelling and the decision making and less on the QTEs. It'll be interesting to see how they sort of evolve their approach to combat for Batman over the course of the series, but there's a chance that it won't change at all. Honestly, I'm a lot more interested in Walking Dead Season 3. That seems like that might change things a lot more, but that's not for a few more months still.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Every time they announce a new property, which I feel like they have a lot now, Batman was the first one. I was what are they doing? That doesn't seem like the Lego stuff, or not the Lego, the Game of Thrones stuff, the Wolf Among Us, that made sense. What was that?
Minecraft?
Minecraft, maybe that's, sorry, not Lego, yeah.
Minecraft story mode.
Yeah, which they're not bad.
Yeah, they're cute.
Believe so. I just don't, it seems like my initial impression when I first heard a lot of these properties is they're forcing these narratives on things I wouldn't want a narrative in. Like Walking Dead makes sense. It's like a post-apocalyptic zombie world. We've become accustomed to that kind of trope by now. Wolf Among Us, same thing, based on the graphic novels, Fable, if I'm not mistaken. But then Game of Thrones comes along, but Batman, that's the one that that's the one I'm most drawn to. I love Game of Thrones, but I want to get into Batman. Like you said, they're kind of like trying to put Bruce Wayne through the ringer. And I really like that idea of, after a while, is Batman really the mask, or is that the real one? And then Bruce Wayne is the actual character. Do they really set up any like kind of cool character studies in this game, or like plot threads that are going to extend through 5 episodes, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I think it's typical 5 episodes, but yeah, they do. So they do, like I said, they do set up Bruce Wayne in an interesting way. And Batman is kind of just there to beat up thugs. Like when Bruce Wayne can't do something, it's like, all right, Batman, and then you do quick time events, which actually you can fail them, if that wasn't clear. It's just like, it's very lenient. But then there's also a new character. Well, not a new character. He's people know him. I don't want to spoil it, but they introduce him in a very different way, which is also something that Timur mentioned in his review, which I think could be really interesting later down the line, or it could just fall flat. As of now, it's pretty interesting. And then, you've got your typical characters like Selena Kyle, Catwoman, that kind of play like very similar to what you'd expect. But once again, like I feel like they are planting seeds to do something more with these characters, which is interesting. I think Batman fans are really going to like it.
Do they push the detective angle and investigating? Because I feel like that was they used it for Rocksteady's games, and that was like some cool, like fun ways to like, describe him as the greatest detective in the world or whatever. Do they do that with the Telltale games? I feel like they're like tailor-made for this kind of slower pace.
They do, and I think that's probably like the most successful parts when you're Batman. They're still relatively simple. Like you're not going to get stuck on one of these for a while, but it's like you'll go into a room and there'll be all this like evidence laying around, and basically you need to connect different pieces of evidence to each other, and then like a sort of, I forget what it's called, but like a holographic recreation will play it out for Batman and the viewer, and you can just kind of like see like, okay, this is what's going on. It's actually pretty gory too. Like some of these crime scenes, well, you only investigate one, but the one you investigate is it's pretty gory. Like this is a mature Batman story if people were interested.
Do they they've mentioned the multiplayer? Did you get to try that at all? Or is that like going to be, you did try it? Can you describe how a Telltale
game? Laughter is not encouraging.
No. How does a Telltale game, first off, like just describe it to us, because I really don't even know how a Telltale game would have multiplayer.
So like Jackbox TV. So it's similar to that, in that you get a code, you go to a website on your phone, and then you enter the code, give yourself a name, and then you can vote on things to say. And then when there's nothing to say, you can either thumbs up or thumbs down the scene. I don't know. We didn't quite figure that out. You just thumbs up and thumbs downing random stuff. But basically, whenever there's a dialogue choice, everyone in the room can pick like what choice they want to say from their phone, and then Batman will say it. And yeah, so
is it majority rule, or is it just like somebody who's driving will look and see what's winning?
Majority rule.
Really?
So Alex thought, he was testing out with me, and he thought that I still got to pick because I was mouse and keyboard. Turns out though, like we had 3 people vote for one thing and I voted for the other, and that one went with it. So it is democratic majority rule.
Just that. Because that's really interesting that it, like, if you commit to having other people with you, that they are in your game.
They are
like,
taking control.
You
of
are
the story.
really in it together. Yeah.
I would just be one of those people trying to derail the entire thing. Not to just be a troll, but like if it's a democratic thing, I just want to actually try to upset the balance. I guess I am. Just
want to watch
troll,
the world burn.
Well, like
I just said I wasn't being a troll, and I defined myself
I
as
think,
such.
Yeah, but yeah.
But what was your
the problem
like?
with it though is that, well, I mean, like if you did something like this, what would you typically want to do with this? Like stream it, right? You can't stream it though, because decisions, you have about 8 seconds, and that lag's not going to be quick enough.
Yeah.
So I mean, the easy thing would be just to get rid of the timer, but for some reason they didn't do that, so you can't really stream this.
You'd have to like have a separate stream for the decisions, and then like a delayed one for the actual choices.
Yeah, see, that's already too much work. No one's going to do that.
No one's going to do it.
But Telltale said that they are trying to figure out a way so people can stream it. It's just kind of a shame that they haven't figured that out, because that seems like the main appeal for something like this. Like, I'm not going to invite my friends over and like, let's watch Batman Telltale as we pick this. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I like Batman a lot, like a lot of people do nowadays, but I don't know that a lot of times with Telltale games, I have nothing against them. They're just, I think they're very well written. I think, like I said, I like that the choices carry through to the end. I like the episodic structure. I think it works well here. I just always feel like I could get that experience from another medium. I don't know. Like I like narrative games. You know, like Everybody's Gone the Rapture, Gone Home. I think if they're done well, they can achieve like really impactful messages and stories. But I'm just wondering if it's enough to pull me in as a Batman fan, and if you're a Telltale fan, whether that'll pull you in as well. I'm kind of wondering if they're balancing those two camps well.
I mean, I think if you're a Batman fan, you're definitely going to want to play this. I was actually talking to one of my good friends. He loves Batman, and he's absolutely in love with this. Like, he thinks it's fantastic. If you're a Telltale fan, you're probably going to be sick of this formula by now, I think.
It sounds like it doesn't really change all that much. Like, people who know Telltale games are going to just like, yep, it's another like just iteration of that same formula, which, you know, again, I mean, I'm a Telltale fan, obviously, and even I'm like, okay, this is starting to wear thin. Like, we really need some new ideas, which again is why I'm excited about Walking Dead Season 3. But as people have, like, it's become almost like a rallying cry for people who aren't big on Telltale games that the end is the same no matter what choices you make, and that's true for basically every single Telltale game. Like, no matter what choices you make, no matter how the path branches, you ultimately end up at the same destination. And yeah, they've got to start doing things a little bit different, or even, Telltale fans are just going to get totally burnt out on it. Mm-hmm. And maybe you're not meant to play every single Telltale game. Maybe it's like, oh, you're a Batman fan, play this one. Like, oh, your kid loves Minecraft, play this one. You know, if you're playing every single one, you'll get burned out much more quickly.
Very fast.
But still, even if you're just picking and choosing the ones you play, it's like, it really couldn't hurt for them to update the way they do things. It's great though the writing may be.
Yeah. Scott, regardless of your current backlog of games, do you plan on playing this?
I mean, I would love to someday, but it's definitely not top of the list for me. Yeah. Like, I like Batman, but I'm by no means like a hardcore Batman fan. Yeah. And I've played a lot of Telltale games, like, and I have so much other stuff to get through.
Yeah.
Like, I still haven't played Doom. I really want to play Doom, for example. Like, just this May in particular this year, there were so many big releases that this one is like, I'll play it someday. Like, it'll be on Steam sale someday. I'll be like, oh God, I never played Batman. And I'll totally play it because I love Telltale and I'm sure I'll enjoy it.
Sure.
But yeah, there's nothing about this particular series that has me like really thrilled or excited.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think I'm sort of borderline. I don't think I'll get to anytime soon, like you, Scott, or Jake. I don't know.
To end on a slightly more positive note, I will say that I love that they are focusing on Batman or on Bruce Wayne. Yeah. I love that there's like political intrigue, that it's not just about Batman, that it is about the full character. I think that was a really genius choice. So if there is a reason to play this game, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, judging by reviews of Suicide Squad, DC Universe can take any help it can get in any form. So, but anyway, yeah, that is Telltale, the Batman The Telltale Series, Episode 1, Realm of Shadows. You can check out Timur Hussein's review on GameSpot. Gave it an 8 out of 10. He really liked it. Tell us what you think. Are you interested for more Telltale games? Are you interested for this specific one? Walking Dead Season 3, like Scott said. Leave your comments in the section below on YouTube or GameSpot and tell us what you think.